Hey Schmoeville, what's going on? JTI here with my fellow intern, Mr. Cobbster.
How you doing?
Now, it's the end of the year of cinema, and once again it's time for the top 10 list.
And trust us, this was not an easy year to make a top 10 list. There were so many good movies out there.
Listen, this was one of the hardest years I've had in a long time coming up on my list. Really, the year started off weak, but it gained momentum towards the end, and it was a fantastic year in cinema.
It really was. And just another reminder, we didn't see everything that came out, so there may be a film that we didn't see that may be on your top 10 list, but it doesn't make it any wrong or good. So let's start it off. I'll start off first, don't mind if I do, and I'll go 10 through 6, and then we'll go you, and then we'll switch on, and then we'll do one with each other.
Yeah. Alright, let's go, buddy. I'm waiting to hear it. No, not till I hear your list.
Oh, okay. Let's do it. Alright, so I'll start it off since you're giving me the Death Star, because I'm not going to have too many art house films in my top 10 list. I'll start off with number 10, which is The Way Back. A really great coming-of-age story. I love this film. Sam Rockwell freaking knocks it out of the park, and it's just a really great story about a kid that is just trying to figure out what he's going to do in life. He's got a really douche dad, played by Steve Carell, who's really great. I love the premise. The acting's really good. It was hilarious, and it's just a really great drama to watch during the summertime and get you in that summer mood. So that's my number 10. Coming in at number 9, I am totally on board with anything Matthew McConaughey does, and that is Dallas Buyers Club. Freaking Matthew McConaughey, just totally unrecognizable in this movie. His performance just was so good. Jared Leto was really great, and it just takes you on this journey of a guy trying to help all these people out that are sick, and it's just seeing him on this journey, you're totally on board because he was a despicable person at the very beginning, and the way his character progresses throughout the whole movie, it's really great, and I just love it. Anything Matthew McConaughey does, I'm going to be watching that movie. Number 8 is the Sandra Bullock space adventure film known as Gravity. This movie, on a technical basis, just was outstanding to watch, and the movie itself is really great as well, and Sandra Bullock really carries this movie from the beginning to end. George Clooney is great as well, and just watching these characters struggle with the very simple story of just surviving in space, and that's what I really loved about it, how simple it was, but at the same time, all the technicalities with the special effects and the sound design just were amazing. I love it when movies have sound like in space and there actually really is no sound. So Alfonso Cuarón, hats off to you, buddy, because you blew me out of the water with that one. Trucking along at lucky number 7 is The Wolf of Wall Street. I just had such a really great time with this movie. Leonardo DiCaprio is hysterical. Jonah Hill, my goodness gracious. Don't give me that look. Don't give me that look. It's on my top 10 list. What do you want? And Martin Scorsese, he's back, baby. He pulled off another really great role. What I liked about it is it made a kind of boring subject, it's stock and all that kind of stuff, into something very entertaining and made me want to invest in something. Not in a literal sense, because I don't want to be killed from all that, but you know, I love this movie. It's hysterical. I love the nudity. I love how raunchy it is. Screw all the haters. It's a really great film. Coming in at number 6 is Prisoners, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman. Man, this movie just gave me a really good vibe, even though that the whole movie is very disturbing in all that sense. I just love a good detective story. Just the whole story with Hugh Jackman taking capture of Paul Dano. That was so good, and the performances were really great as well. I just love the mystery of this entire movie, and though people kind of refer it as to 7, I don't really see it that way. It's just, to me, it was a really good detective story and trying to find these 2 little girls that were kidnapped, and it had you guessing all the way through. What?
No,
what?
No.
There's no rebuttal. I love this movie. More so than Wolf of Wall Street. Go ahead, you start your 10 through 6.
Alright guys, so here we go. Here's my top 10. Here's 10 through 6. And I'm going to start off with one of my favorite films of the summer. This is The End. Now, this is a great comedy and probably my favorite comedy of the year. It is the best comedy of the year. Honestly, nothing really came close for me this year. I was hoping Anchorman 2 would, but it didn't. Best thing about this film is the cast. James Franco, Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen. All these guys bring their A game and they knock it out of the park. So this is probably one of the films I'll be revisiting the most out of my list, just because every time I watch it, I have such a good time. Alright guys, so for my number 9, I'm going for the only sports film this year that was amazing, and that's Rush. That's right, Ron Howard knocked it out of the park. This guy needs to make movies in the 70s, because Frost Nixon, Apollo 13, which I think took place in the late 60s, he's so good at these period piece films. And for me, and Christian Harloff said this, Chris Hemsworth, he becomes a star in this movie. Like, I've seen him, listen, he's good as Thor, okay? Besides that, Cabin in the Woods, I mean, I never saw Red Dawn. This movie, I was like, holy crap, this guy could carry a movie on his shoulders. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce the German guy's name.
Brouhaha.
He was amazing in this film, and I hope he gets nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Yeah, Ron Howard, back to form, man. I love this movie. Number 9. All right, guys, so my number 8 is not a movie I'm going to revisit anytime soon because it is a hard film to watch. That's 12 Years a Slave. Let me tell you, this film, it's, a lot of people say it's like the Schindler's List of this generation, and I kind of agree. Schindler's List is a fantastic movie, but it's not something I can put on very often, but I watch it for the filmmaking, and that's why I'll watch this film. For the filmmaking, and mainly the performance of the lead, and honestly, the Best Supporting Actor Oscar needs to go to Michael Fassbender, because he is a monster in this movie, and every time he was on screen, I couldn't take my eyes off him. Alright guys, so for my number 7, this was a surprise. It's going to be Saving Mr. Banks. Did not listen. If you told me this movie was going to make my top 10, a movie about, Mary Poppins getting made, I haven't seen Mary Poppins since I was like 5.
Yeah.
I honestly barely remember the movie. So when I went and saw it, I was like, I heard so many good things. I was like, I'm going to go check it out. Fantastic movie. Let me just say, the lead, Emma Thompson, knocks it out of the park. She's just so good as like this real kind of grouchy old lady, and Tom Hanks does a perfect job as Walt Disney trying to get this film made that he promised his daughters for like 20 years that he would get made. And the way the structure of this film is half flashback, half not present day, but present day when they're trying to make the movie. And I just love the way it flowed together, and Colin Farrell was great in it. Yeah, I'm surprised as probably most people that I love this movie, but I loved it. Alright guys, so for my number 6, I'm jumping on the McConaughey train. I'm going Dallas Buyers Club. This was a fantastic film with a very, not a light subject, dealing with AIDS in the 80s. But what really made this movie different for me was not only McConaughey's performance, but the character he played. He played like this jerk, he was a bigot, and once he got this disease, you saw his character change. And it's different from other movies that tackle this subject because you really don't like this guy from the beginning. And the only other movie I could think of that is as effective as is Philadelphia, but it's a totally different character. And I just want to say Jared Leto gave a fantastic performance as a supporting actor.
Alright, so now we'll go 5 through 2, and I'll go with number 5. I had to put in some sci-fi film. There were some pretty damn good ones, and it killed me to get rid of one, but I had to keep one, and that's going to be Elysium. The way you saw This Is the End, how you watch it constantly, I literally watched this movie 4 times over the weekend. Does not get old. The action is really great. I love the story. The special effects are amazing. Neil Blomkamp is seriously becoming one of my favorite directors. I cannot wait to see what this guy's kind of come out with next. It's just a really, really great sci-fi action tale. I was nice when you did your list. Be a little simple, okay? Coming in at number 4 is a subtle sci-fi film, but it's also a romantic movie, and that is Her. This movie was really surprising to me. I mean, I was excited for it. I didn't know how it was going to be, but I mean, they took a really strange subject about a guy who falls in love with an artificial intelligence, and they make you believe it. Joaquin Phoenix is so good in this movie. He makes you believe that you fall in love with this artificial intelligence. And it also helps that Scarlett Johansson is extremely, extremely hot. Even just a voice alone, whew, that'd make me fall in love with an iPhone already. So I love this movie. It's a great romance tale, great spin. Spike Jonze, you did it again. At number 3 is a movie that you've mentioned earlier, which is 12 Years a Slave. Oh man, this movie is a freaking masterpiece. I'm gonna say it right now. I think I can go back and watch this movie just because it is a very tough watch, but I mean, the performances alone are just worth going back and watching over. I mean, I can't pronounce the dude's name, but the guy who was the main character was just freaking awesome. Michael Fassbender, like you said. Damn, that guy is a jerk in this movie. And all the other performances as well, just so good. And it's just a tragic story about, a dude who's a slave, and he's going through all these problems, and he's reintroduced to this slavery that he'd been out for a long time, and seeing him struggle with that, it's so heartbreaking, but seeing him as a character and how he really progresses, it's truly amazing. Some despicable performances, but in a really great way. I love 12 Years a Slave, that's why it's at my number 3. And coming in at my number 2, this is really tough for me to switch these 1 and 2, but I'm gonna stick with my gut on this one, and it's a movie that I just recently saw, and that is Lone Survivor. Wow, Peter Berg is forgiven for Battleship because this freaking movie is so intense. It is so hard watching these soldiers go through all this crap, and the fact that it's based off a true story. I did some research after watching the movie because there were some things that happened in the movie I couldn't believe that happened, and just the fact that it pretty much solidifies everything in the movie that happens, it's so heartbreaking. There were some man tears in it, but that's okay. Mark Wahlberg was amazing in this movie, and just what's his name? Taylor Kish was great. Amelie Hirsch. Ben Foster, Eric Bana, so many good performances in this movie. The action was really great, and once it just kicks in, it almost feels like it doesn't stop. It's very emotional. It had me in tears by the end. I'm not afraid to admit it, because it's Mark Wahlberg, and that's my number 2.
Alright guys, so let's kick off my number 5, and this is a film, once again, we're going to McConaughey. We're going Mud.
Whoop whoop.
Fantastic film that really was a throwback to kind of like old school filmmaking in some ways, whereas it was just a great story. It was a Southern Gothic. It's about these 2 kids of a coming age story, but also you got to see McConaughey and Reese Witherspoon. It's kind of like almost like a film noir. It's just a great film, and I think the screenplay should be considered for some Oscars because I think it's greatly written story. Yeah, there's not. I could gush about this movie all day. It's number 5, Mud. I'll get stuck in that mud any day. All right, for number 4, we're going a little bit lovey-dovey here. We're going to Spectacular Now.
Oh, nice.
I love this film. It was my number 1 film in my top 10 summer films. But you know what? It just climbed the charts as the years gone by because I just love that they took a realistic approach to this romance and this guy's what this kid's going through basically. Miles Teller, he's been in a lot of movies, but this is by far his best film. You've seen him do the party thing before, but here he actually had some weight to it. And there's a scene towards the end that I was like, I didn't think the kid was capable of. And Shailene Woodley does a great job, but really, don't go and think of a romance as more as like what this kid is going through and what he needs to do to change his life. This movie reminded me a lot of Cameron Crowe's Say Anything from late 80s. Very realistic approach. It's not your freaking popcorn, you know, God knows some Lindsay Lohan romantic comedy. It's a good romantic comedy of coming age film for adults. All right, guys. So my number 3 film is probably one not a lot of you have seen because it didn't play in too many theaters, but it is The Hunt. That's right. It starred Mads Mikkelsen. This is a Danish film that it's not a light subject. It's about a guy who gets accused of molesting his friend's daughter because he works at like a kindergarten school, and really the film is not about like the trial of the jury or like, you know, oh, did he or didn't he do it? Well, it is, but it's more about how an accusation could ruin a man's life. And you know the saying is, you know, innocent until proven guilty. That's not the case, especially when you're accused of something that's horrible. Listen, this guy should have won an Oscar. I don't know if he's eligible, but he should be at least nominated. It's number 3. It's one of the best films. Please find it. All right, guys, so here we go. My number 2. This was tough. This could easily be number 1. It was like a heavyweight bout between my number 1 and number 2 picks. But number 2 is Her. This movie is fantastic. Listen, I like Spike Jonze. Adaptations were like one of my all-time favorite films. And his last film, Where the Wild Things Were, I was kind of mixed on. And I was hoping I'd get that Spike Jonze from Adaptation guy in this one, and I got him, man. Don't discount Joaquin Phoenix, man. He's in almost every frame of this film, and he is fantastic. I mean, to think that you have to act over this voice, and it wasn't even Scarlett Johansson. When they shot the movie, it was a different actress, and you feel like Scarlett Johansson's in the room with him. He's one of the few directors that could do it, and when he does it, it's something special. This movie blew me away, and it was a total. I wasn't surprised that I loved it. I was surprised I loved it this much. All right, guys, this is it. The big one, the number 1 film of the year.
Number uno. Shall I go first?
Tough year.
It was a tough year, like we said, 2-1. Could probably switch around for me as well as you. So I'll go for my number 1 film of 2013 is Mud. I freaking loved this freaking movie. So much so that it just totally reminded me of like Stand By Me, and it had that really great coming of age story. As you can tell, I love coming of age stories. And Matthew McConaughey interacting with these 2 kids. These 2 kids are great breakthrough performances. These guys need way more recognition than they already have. And it's just the story, like you said earlier, is really great. The writing's really good. And I just love the chemistry that these guys have with each other. And these 2 kids just have this really extraordinary adventure with one another and see their characters progress. I loved it all the way through, just from beginning to end. Mud is my number 1.
Wow. Yeah, Mark Ellis had Mud also.
Yeah, he did.
That's crazy. Listen, fantastic movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it was my number 4 or 5.
Are we rebuttaling?
It was my number 5.
Give your number 1.
I'm giving you my
What is it,
thoughts
Only
on
God
this.
Forgives? Give your number 1. Come on.
Number 1 for JTI of 2013. The Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh! What the?
Christian Arloff, I am with you. He's with Mark Ellis.
Mark Ellis, everybody.
We didn't play it like this.
No, we did not. Wow, I really thought Lone Survivor was going to be up.
No, listen, Wolf of Wall Street, to me, is the most fun I had in a theater this year.
That's so funny.
Yeah, 3 years. I mean, not 3 years. It could have been 3 years. I would have been great. 3 hours of just pure entertainment.
Yeah.
and I am a Scorsese fan.
You are.
This was like, listen, I love Hugo and I love his last few films, but this was a movie in the vein of Goodfellas or Casino.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this was like an old heavyweight boxer. I didn't know he had this kind of fight left in him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know he could do this anymore. Like with that kind of pacing and that editing and the camera work, I saw it. I was like, oh my god, this is Goodfellas. This is Goodfellas. Scorsese, he still has it.
Mm-hmm.
And Leonardo DiCaprio, I'll just tell you right now, give him Best Actor. Of all the actors, I know there's a lot of great performances this year, but if he doesn't win, this is the one I think he should win for because this is the best he's ever been.
This is absolutely
It might be the best he's ever going to be. I don't know. But in the camera work, the editing, the music, everything just worked perfectly for me.
All right, so since we only had 10 movies on our top 10 list, we obviously have some honorable mentions. Like myself, I got them written down. Upstream Color is a Shane Carruth film. I thought was really, really great. Rush, that was on yours. Fruitvale Station was just almost on the list. Pacific Rim, I gave that movie an A+. Yeah, I'm biased. I don't care. I loved it, but it didn't make my top 10. Captain Phillips was really amazing as well. And then Place Beyond the Pines was on my top 10 list. I saw Lone Survivor. It got knocked off. So that's my... And Star Trek Into Darkness as well.
Yeah. Short Term 12.
Yeah,
One of those films.
I'm hearing a lot about that.
A lot of people haven't seen. Great performance by Alison Brie. It's just a great film with some great character study about what goes on in like kind of like a halfway home for teens. What else I got here? Fruitvale Station, another tough movie to watch.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tearjerker.
Tearjerker.
That's a tear for sure.
I had some problems with some scenes in that movie, but overall great. Lone Survivor, you had it pretty high on your list.
I loved it.
I thought it was a great movie. It'd be like number 12 on my list probably. One movie a lot of people probably surprised are on my list is Gravity.
Yeah.
You know what?
Hey, it's not...
I love Alfonso Cuarón, and you know I gotta admit, if you want to see his masterpiece, watch Children of Men. Children of Men. Gravity's great. Not enough character development for me, so I had some problems with that.
I agree with you on that.
Place Beyond the Pines is fantastic. Almost made my top 10. That's probably my number 11.
So thank you guys so much for a really great year of
Yeah, it's a
2013.
fantastic year.
Even though I've only been with the Schmoes for a very little bit of time, I've had the greatest time. All of you guys that comment on these videos were really, really great. Thank you so much for supporting us, all the Schmoes, and we look forward to 2014. And hopefully this year could be as good as last year because it's movies.
What a good year.
Really good stuff. Thanks, guys.
Later.
High five now?
Yeah.
Okay. Nope. Stupid.